There's a moment at every car dealership. The paperwork is on the desk, the pen is hovering. The salesman asks the question he's asked 1,000 times. So how are we handling payment today? You slide a cashier's check across the desk. All of it. You walk out feeling like a financial adult who just did the most responsible thing imaginable. Your chest is puffed out. You're ready to tell your friends. Here's what you don't know. That smile wasn't respect. Cash buyers are the easiest money a dealership ever sees, and that check just cost you thousands of dollars you'll never get back. Today I'm gonna show you why. The rule, never finance, always pay cash, was written for a world that no longer exists. When your parents were buying cars, loan rates were 8 to 12%. Savings accounts paid basically nothing. Financing was expensive. Cash was king. In that world, paying cash made perfect sense. You were avoiding double-digit interest while earning nothing on your savings. It was arithmetic suicide to do anything else. Your parents' advice was correct then. That world is gone. In 2026, you can finance at 0% from a dozen major brands. Toyota, Honda, Ford, Tesla, Hyundai, Nissan, Kia, Subaru, Chevy. And online savings accounts are paying 3 to 4%. Let me say that again. The bank will lend you money for free and pay you to hold your cash. In that environment, paying cash isn't responsible. It's just leaving money on the table and calling it virtue. Most people's understanding of car financing is stuck in 1995. Their parents' advice was correct then. They've been repeating it ever since. But the math has flipped, and the people who haven't updated their software are paying for it. Let me prove it. Meet Clark and Jenna. Same age, same income, same car, same dealership, same Tuesday. One difference, how they pay. Clark writes a check for $35,000. His savings account hits zero. His monthly car payment is also zero. It feels amazing for about 2 weeks, he tells his friends. His dad nods approvingly at Thanksgiving. Then the feeling fades. The car is just a car. Jenna takes the 0% financing deal. Her monthly payment is $583. She takes her $35,000, drops it into a high-yield savings account paying 4%, and sets up auto pay to pull the car payment from that account every month. She does nothing else. No stocks, no crypto, no luck, no side hustles. She just lets the money sit. She doesn't think about it. She doesn't check it every day. She just sets it and forgets it. 5 years later, the loan is paid off, and Jenna still has about $3,500 left in that savings account. Same car. Same 5 years. Jenna has $3,500 that Clark doesn't have. Free money. The bank paid her to borrow. That's not a trick. That's just math. Clark got the satisfaction of writing a big check. Jenna got $3,500. Which one would you rather have? Now let's say Jenna is slightly less allergic to risk. Instead of a savings account, she puts that $35,000 into a boring S&P 500 index fund. The S&P 500 has historically averaged around 10% a year over long periods. Not guaranteed. Definitely not smooth year to year. Some years it's up 25%. Some years it's down 15%. But over 5 years, the odds are statistically in her favor. If the market performs at its historical average, Jenna comes out with about $56,000. She's made over $21,000 while Clark made zero. $21,000. That's not pocket change. That's a used car. That's a year of college tuition. That's a down payment on something. Now, I'm not saying this is guaranteed. Markets crash. 5 years is a short time horizon for stocks. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Anyone who says otherwise is selling something. But here's the point. Her money has a chance to grow. Clark's money sitting in a dealership's bank account has zero chance to grow. None. Nada. Zilch. One of them is giving her money a job. The other is putting his money in a cage and throwing away the key. Which one sounds smarter to you? Now let me show you the other villain in this story. The people screaming at you to pay cash are accidentally protecting you from a different scam that nobody talks about. Walk into any dealership and they've got a back room. It's called the F&I office, finance and insurance. That room is where most of the dealership's actual profit comes from. Not from selling you the car, from selling you the loan, the warranty, the paint protection, the gap insurance, the tire and wheel plan, the fabric protection, whatever else they could bolt onto the paperwork while you're already tired from negotiating. The average dealership now makes around $2,500 of pure profit per car out of that room alone. That's up roughly 50% from where it was before the pandemic. The industry has quietly pivoted its entire business model. Here's the part most buyers don't know. When you finance through the dealer, they don't just pass along the bank's interest rate. They mark it up, legally. A lender offers the dealer a buy rate of, say, 5%. The dealer turns around and offers it to you at 7%. That 2-point spread goes straight into the dealership's pocket. On a $35,000 5-year loan, a 2-point markup is roughly $1,800 of pure dealer profit that you never see itemized anywhere. You just see a monthly payment, and you sign. And here's the kicker that flips everything on its head. Cash buyers, the people who walk in feeling like kings, actually tend to pay more for the car, not less. The dealership knows a cash deal means no F&I revenue, no rate markup, no finance bonus from the manufacturer, no warranty upsell. So they make it back by being less flexible on the price of the car itself. Edmunds has run the numbers. On average, cash buyers save about $300 less than finance buyers. They pay $300 more for the same car. That's the opposite of every instinct the pay cash crowd has. Announcing, "I'm paying cash" at the start of a negotiation isn't a power move, it's a tell. You just told the dealer, you have zero leverage on anything except the sticker price. Congratulations, you played yourself. So cash buyers aren't wrong to be suspicious of dealer financing. They're just solving the wrong problem. The real move isn't refusing to finance. The real move is financing through a credit union or a bank, not the dealership. Navy Federal is advertising under 4% right now. PenFed is even lower. Your local credit union is probably competitive too. You walk into the dealership pre-approved. You negotiate the car price like it's a cash deal. You don't mention financing at all during price negotiation. You let them think you might be paying cash. Then, after you've agreed on the price, after the numbers are locked in, you hand them the paperwork from your credit union. Watch their face fall, because you just cut the F&I office out of the conversation entirely. The dealer hates this. That's exactly how you know it's the right move. You still get the benefits of financing, keeping your cash, earning interest, building credit without paying the dealer's markup. Best of both worlds. Now let me show you the part of the pay cash advice that nobody thinks through, the part that keeps financial planners up at night. 18 months after Clark's proud cashier's check moment, something happens. His wife's car, older, already on borrowed time, throws a transmission repair bill. $4,200. The mechanic is kind but firm. Can't be avoided. Clark has about $600 in checking. His savings account is gone. It became a Toyota. So what does Clark do? He charges the repair to a credit card at 22% interest. Jenna, meanwhile, still has her $35,000 sitting in her savings account, earning 4% while she pays down her car loan. She writes a check for the transmission and doesn't even notice. She doesn't have to check 3 accounts. She doesn't have to decide which credit card to put it on. She doesn't have to calculate how many months it will take to pay off. She just pays it. Done. Clark just traded 0% debt for 22% debt. He didn't avoid debt. He just delayed it and picked the more expensive kind. That's not financial responsibility. That's bad sequencing dressed up in a cashier's check costume. A recent Bankrate survey found that 59% of Americans don't have enough cash to cover a $1,000 emergency. 27% have zero emergency savings. Clark, the second he handed over that check, joined a group of people who are one flat tire away from a payday loan. Jenna's boring little savings account isn't just compounding at 4%. It's also keeping her out of that group. It's her shield. Clark threw his shield away for a feeling. Here's another thing Clark didn't see coming. 2.5 years after the dealership, he applies for a mortgage. He's ready to buy his first house. He's excited. He's done everything right. His credit score has quietly dropped about 25 points since the big cash purchase. He has no idea why. He's never missed a payment. He's never carried a balance. He's been responsible. Jenna, same income, same everything, gets approved at a rate roughly a quarter point better than his. On a $400,000 mortgage over 30 years, a quarter point difference is more than $20,000 in lifetime interest. Why did this happen? Because FICO, the company that decides your credit score, weights something called credit mix at 10% of your total score. Credit mix means that you've got both revolving credit, credit cards, and installment loans, car loans, mortgages, student loans. The algorithm wants to see that you can handle different types of debt. Clark has just credit cards. Jenna has credit cards plus a car loan. She's been paying perfectly for 2 years. In the eyes of the algorithm, Clark looks like a slightly riskier bet. Paying cash literally denied him the thing that would have made him look more creditworthy to the algorithm. And when Clark paid his credit card down to 0 1 month because he felt like being extra responsible, his credit utilization dropped to 0 on his only active line. The score dinged him again. Because 0 utilization looks like you're not using credit at all. The system punishes people who look too cashy. It's weird. It's arguably dumb. It's definitely unfair. But it's the system we're in. And ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just costs you $20,000. One more thing the pay cash crowd doesn't talk about. Inflation, the quiet destroyer of cash value. When Jenna signs a 0% loan today, her payment is frozen at $583 a month for 60 months. Groceries go up, rent goes up, gas goes up. Her paycheck probably goes up over time. But that car payment is locked in today's dollars. She's paying back the loan with dollars that are worth a little less every year. In 2021, when inflation briefly shot past 7%, people who'd financed cars at 3% were effectively being paid to borrow in real terms. The bank was losing money on the loan while the borrower got richer by sitting still. The math was backwards. The borrower won. That window isn't as wide as it was, but it's still open for anyone getting a sub 3% deal. Even at 3% inflation every year you wait to pay back a fixed-rate loan you're paying with cheaper money. Clark, who paid cash, surrendered the full value of his dollars at the moment they were strongest. He gave away $35,000 worth of maximum purchasing power. Jenna is paying hers back slowly in increasingly weaker money. That's not a trick. That's not a loophole. That's just how fixed-rate debt works in an inflationary economy, and it's been working that way for decades. Now let me do the honest thing and steelman the other side, because the pay cash crowd isn't entirely wrong. They're just solving for a different problem. Their best argument, the one that keeps them up at night, goes like this. Personal finance is 80% behavior and 20% math. And most people who finance a car and tell themselves, I'll invest the difference, absolutely will not invest the difference. They'll spend it. They'll upgrade the car. They'll take a trip to Mexico. They'll buy a Peloton. They'll forget the plan inside of 6 months. The money will just disappear into lifestyle. The national personal savings rate in America is about 3.6%. That tells you almost everything you need to know. The average person who frees up capital does not invest that capital. They consume it. The pay cash rule is basically a behavioral guardrail. A rule simple enough and rigid enough that even people with zero discipline can follow it. Don't borrow, don't finance, just pay and be done. For a huge chunk of the population, that's the right call. Dave Ramsey isn't wrong about his audience. His audience needs those guardrails. They're not wrong about most people. They're just wrong about everybody. They assume that because most people can't handle the discipline, no one can. The question is not what most people do. The question is what you do, and only you know the answer to that. There's a trap I want to name here because I think it explains why smart people keep making this mistake. I call it the responsible feeling tax. It's what happens when you confuse the feeling of being responsible with the outcome of being responsible. When the emotion of doing the right thing matters more to you than the actual result. Paying cash feels responsible. You can touch it. You can brag about it. Your dad will nod approvingly at Thanksgiving dinner. Your friends will be impressed. You'll get the little dopamine hit of being the smart one. But feelings are not a financial metric. The market doesn't care how you feel. Your retirement account doesn't care about your dad's approval. The outcome of paying cash in 2026 for a financially disciplined buyer is being a few $1,000s poorer than you needed to be. That's not an opinion. That's arithmetic. You paid the responsible feeling tax. You bought the vibe. Someone sold you a ritual and called it wisdom, and you've been repeating it ever since without ever checking if the math still worked. In fairness, there are situations where paying cash still wins. Let me name them clearly so you don't think I'm saying never pay cash. First, if you're buying a cheap used car in the $5,000 to $15,000 range, just pay cash. Used car loan rates are punitive. The origination fees eat the spread. The math breaks down completely. Second, if your credit is subprime and the only loan you can get is at 13% or higher, pay cash. Nothing you invest in reliably beats that guaranteed cost. You're not getting a 13% return in a savings account. Third, if you're retired, already own your house, and aren't building credit for anything, pay cash and simplify your life. You don't need the complexity. The rule isn't universal in either direction. It's a decision tree. What's changed is that for prime borrowers in 2026, the decision tree now points toward financing more often than not. The old rule was never finance. The new rule is do the math. And the math has changed. Let me lock this in with a quick recap before we wrap up. In 2026, you can finance at 0% from multiple major brands. Your savings can earn 3 to 4% in a high-yield account. The math has completely flipped from 1995. 2. On a $35,000 car, Jenna's savings account strategy put $3,500 in her pocket over Clark's cash purchase. The investment strategy put over $21,000 in her pocket. 3. Cash buyers actually pay $300 more for the same car because dealerships make their real profit in the F&I office, not on the car itself. 4. Paying cash depletes your emergency fund. When a $4,200 repair came up, Clark went into 22% credit card debt. Jenna wrote a check and moved on with her life. 5. Financing builds credit mix. Clark's lower credit score cost him over $20,000 on a 30-year mortgage. Jenna got a better rate. 6. Inflation makes fixed-rate debt cheaper to pay back over time. Jenna paid with increasingly weaker dollars. Clark paid with today's strongest dollars. So back to Clark and Jenna. 5 years after that Tuesday at the dealership, they pull up next to each other at a stoplight. Same RAV4, same mileage, same slightly faded paint job. Clark is proud of his paid-off car. Jenna just made her final payment last week. Clark glances over and smirks a little because he's been quietly smug about the cash thing for half a decade. What he doesn't see is Jenna's Roth IRA. The one she funded with the money she saved, the emergency fund still sitting in her savings account, the $3,500 of free money the bank paid her for doing nothing, and the credit score that just pre-approved her for a mortgage rate a quarter point better than his. $20,000 over 30 years, gone, because he wanted to feel responsible at a car dealership. They're in the same car. They are not in the same financial life. The difference wasn't luck, income, or willpower. It was one decision at a dealership 5 years ago that looked identical from the outside and was completely different underneath. The light turns green. They both drive off. One of them is richer. Neither of them will ever look it. If this video saved you a few $1,000s on your next car, hit that like button. And subscribe if you want more videos about the math that most people get wrong. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever paid cash for a car and regretted it? Or are you a finance person? What's your credit score? When's the last time you checked it? Be honest, be specific. Let's fill the comments with real experiences. Maybe your story will help someone else avoid a $3,500 mistake. I read them. I'll be in there. Let's figure this out together. Thanks for watching. Do the math before you write the check. See you in the next one.